My name is Maya, and 4 years ago, I promised myself that the day I graduated from college would be the day my parents finally saw me, truly saw me. But when that day came, they weren't there. They missed me walk across the stage, missed my name being called to a round of applause, all for one reason. They were 50 miles away at a car dealership, signing the papers for my sister's brand new Tesla. They thought I'd be standing there alone, forgotten. But they didn't know about the black limousine waiting for me, or the powerful woman sitting inside who was about to change my life forever. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button to hear the rest of this story. To understand why their actions were so cruel, you have to understand the architecture of my family. It wasn't a tree with evenly reaching branches. It was a lopsided scale, permanently tipped to one side. On that side was my sister, Chloe. 2 years younger, Chloe lived in a world of Instagram filters and sponsored trips. An influencer with 100,000 followers who believed her existence was a contribution in itself. On the other side was me. I was the first person in our family to go to college, wrestling my way through a chemical engineering degree, a world of complex equations and endless nights in the lab. I was the practical child, the quiet one, the responsible one. Chloe was the dream. I was the backup plan. This injustice wasn't new. It was the foundation our home was built on. I remember it vividly, the year I turned 17. The old Honda Civic I'd bought with my own money from 2 summers of waiting tables at a local diner finally had its transmission fail. The repair was going to cost $1,500, an astronomical sum for me at the time. I'd begged my parents for help, promising to pay back every single cent. My father, Mark, just glanced at the invoice, shaking his head. "You need to learn to be self-reliant, Maya. Life isn't easy." His words were cold and final. I ended up working 2 part-time jobs all through my senior year, missing out on school activities and running myself ragged just to keep that car on the road. 6 months later, for Chloe's 16th birthday, a cherry red Mini Cooper convertible with a giant bow on it was sitting in our driveway. Chloe shrieked with delight while I stood there, hollowed out. "She deserves a good start," my mother, Susan, said, pinching my cheek condescendingly. "You've always been the stronger one, Maya. You can handle things on your own." It was my curse. My competence became their excuse for neglect. The independence I was forced to develop was rewritten as a lack of need for their love. The pattern continued into college. I earned a partial scholarship but still had to take out loans and work 20 hours a week at the campus library to cover my living expenses and textbooks. Every time I called home, the conversation was an endless loop about Chloe. Chloe needed money for a collaboration trip to Bali. Chloe needed a new camera to elevate her content. Chloe needed to rent a nicer apartment because her old one didn't have good natural light for photo shoots. And my parents always obliged. They would brag to their friends about Chloe's burgeoning career, while my academic achievements were mentioned as an afterthought. "Oh, and Maya is still studying hard," they'd say, as if it were a boring hobby and not a Herculean effort. I tried to share my passions with them. I came home for a break once, bringing a research project I was working on involving biodegradable polymers. I explained excitedly how it could potentially reduce plastic waste. My mother listened absently for a few minutes before interrupting. "That's nice, dear. Hey, Chloe, show me that new video you posted. Your father and I thought it was hilarious." In that moment, my work, my future, was sidelined for a 15-second TikTok video. I felt like I was screaming into a void. The inequity wasn't just financial or attentional. It was deeply ingrained in how they viewed our worth. Chloe's successes, however superficial, were celebrated as monumental achievements. Mine, born of sweat and tears, were treated as expected. "That's just Maya," my father would often say with a shrug. "She always does what she sets her mind to." It wasn't a compliment. It was a dismissal. It erased the sacrifice, the sleepless nights, the moments I wanted to quit but didn't. They didn't see the struggle. They only saw the result and assumed it came easy. And now, after 4 years of nonstop work, I was at the finish line. Graduation wasn't just a ceremony. It was the validation of everything I'd endured. It was the moment I hoped, naively, they would finally understand. I sent them the elegantly designed invitations. I called to confirm their attendance. I even booked them a hotel room near campus. I did everything to make it a special celebratory family occasion. I thought this time, just this once, they would choose me. But I had no idea that a perfect storm was brewing, and that its catalyst wasn't my diploma, but a shiny, electric car. The catalyst began with an email. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late April, just 3 weeks before graduation. I was in the lab, running the final analyses for my senior thesis. My eyes were burning from staring at a computer screen, and the air smelled faintly of ozone from the equipment. When I checked my phone during a break, I saw an email with the subject line, "Regarding the Thompson Trailblazers Scholarship." My heart started to pound. This was the most prestigious scholarship in the university's engineering department, named after a legendary alumnus who founded one of the world's largest biotech firms. It came not only with a generous research grant, but was a golden ticket into the industry. I had applied months ago, a long shot I never truly expected to win. Hundreds of the best and brightest students vied for it. With a trembling hand, I opened the email. The words swam before my eyes. "We are thrilled to inform you that you, Maya Evans, have been selected as this year's recipient of the Thompson Trailblazer Scholarship." I had to read it 3 times. $50,000. A job offer as a research engineer at Viridian Dynamics, Thompson's own company. And the award was to be presented during the graduation ceremony by my own mentor, Dr. Anya Sharma, who had been on the selection committee. A wave of pure elation and relief washed over me. This was it. This was the validation I had craved. It wasn't just about the money or the job. It was proof that my hard work meant something. The very first thing I did was call my family. I wanted to share this incredible news, to hear the pride in their voices. "Mom, you are not going to believe this," I said, the words tumbling out when she answered. I told her everything, the award, the money, the job, the fact that it would be presented at graduation. "Oh, that's wonderful, sweetie," my mother replied, but her voice was distracted. I could hear Chloe talking in the background. "That's great. Your father and I are so proud." But the words lacked the warmth I was desperate for. It was the kind of praise you'd offer a neighbor's child. "Do you understand, Mom? This is huge. It changes everything," I pressed, trying to will my excitement through the phone. I do," she said. And then I heard her turn to Chloe. Okay, let me see." She came back to me. "Listen, Maya, I have to go. Chloe just got the confirmation email about her car. She's ecstatic." And just like that, my moment was over. The car. It was all they had talked about for weeks. Chloe had decided her influencer career needed an upgrade, and that upgrade was a pearl-white Tesla Model 3. She'd convinced our parents it was an investment in her brand. They had readily agreed, dipping into their retirement savings for the down payment. My graduation and my award were quickly eclipsed by vehicle configurators, charging options, and the impending delivery date. At first, I tried to be understanding. I told myself they just didn't grasp the significance of my academic achievement. Their world revolved around tangible things, status symbols they could show off to the neighbors. A Tesla was tangible, a chemical engineering scholarship was not, but their initial reaction was just the tip of the iceberg. A few days later, my father called. "Maya, your mother and I were talking," he began, in a tone I'd come to recognize as the prelude to a request. "About Chloe's car. We're just a little short on the final payment. You know, you've always been so good at saving. We were wondering if you could help out? Just $1,000 or $2. You could think of it as an early graduation present for your sister." I was speechless. He was actually asking me, a student living on loans and a work-study salary, to contribute to my sister's $50,000 luxury car. "Dad, I don't have that kind of money," I said, trying to keep my voice from shaking. "All my money goes to rent and food." "Don't be like that," he chuckled, a sound I knew was meant to disarm my frustration. "I know you have a little nest egg. Come on, it's for the family." That's when I began to realize it. My graduation wasn't just being overshadowed. It was being seen as a resource. My joy wasn't being shared. It was being calculated. The storm had been catalyzed. and it was no longer about a lack of attention. It was slowly becoming a direct assault on my worth and my accomplishments. And as the tension escalated over the next few weeks, I would soon learn just how far they were willing to go to make sure their golden child got everything, even if it meant completely shattering my heart. In the short 3 weeks between my good news and graduation day, our family home transformed into a war room, and the sole objective was Operation Tesla. Every conversation began and ended with the car. FaceTime family dinners became forums to discuss the merits of the full self-driving package. My mother would send me links to car accessories, asking my opinion on all-weather floor mats, as if my participation would somehow validate their blatant favoritism. The first escalation occurred about a week after my father's phone call. I was studying for my last final exam when Chloe called. "Maya," she chirped, her voice dripping with manufactured excitement. "I had the best idea. Since you're about to graduate and make all that big engineer money, you should co-sign my car loan. My credit isn't, like, amazing, and it would get me a much better interest rate." I took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "Chloe, that's not a good idea. I have my own student loans, and I haven't even started my job yet." Don't be so negative," she pouted, a sound I could practically see through the phone. "It's just a signature. Mom and Dad said it's the least you could do after they invested in your education." Invested. They'd used that word. As if my 4 years of sleepless nights and stress were a stock they expected a dividend from. "The answer is no, Chloe," I said firmly. The call ended in a frosty silence, but I knew it wasn't over. Hours later, my mother called, her voice laced with disappointment. "I can't believe you were so selfish, Maya. Your sister asks for one small thing, and you shut her down. Family is supposed to help each other." "Help is a two-way street, Mom," I replied, the exhaustion evident in my voice. "When does anyone ever help me?" "Oh, don't start with that poor me routine," she sighed. "You've always been able to take care of yourself. Chloe is different. She's more sensitive." It was their catch-all excuse. Chloe's supposed sensitivity had become a weapon, a shield that protected her from all responsibility, while my strength was twisted into a prison. Because I was strong, I didn't need support. Because I was responsible, I had to carry the burdens of others. Every time I tried to explain my feelings, I was labeled oversensitive or jealous. They had crafted a narrative where I was the resentful villain and Chloe was the misunderstood heroine. The second, and perhaps most painful, incident happened the following week. My department held its awards ceremony ahead of the main graduation, and I was given a prize for the best senior thesis. It was a huge honor. I called them right afterward, clutching the certificate, my heart swelling with pride. I was hoping for a spark of excitement, a genuine congratulations. Instead, my father said, "That's great, honey. Hey, while I have you, can you talk to Chloe? She's in a total funk. The dealership just called and said the delivery might be pushed back a week." I was stunned. "Did you hear what I said? I just won an award." I heard you, and I'm proud," he said impatiently. "But your sister is really falling apart. You know how important this launch is for her brand. She planned a whole social media campaign around it. You've always been the one who can talk sense into her. Maybe you can calm her down." I didn't talk to Chloe. I hung up the phone, feeling as if someone had punched all the air out of my lungs. They weren't just ignoring my achievements, they were actively using them as an opportunity to pivot the attention back to Chloe. My joy was an inconvenience, an interruption to the main drama, the Tesla. The only person who seemed to understand during those days was my mentor, Dr. Sharma. She was a petite woman with a formidable presence, a brilliant mind wrapped in a no-nonsense demeanor. We met weekly to discuss my research, but our conversations often went deeper. She saw a potential in me that I rarely saw in myself. During one of our meetings, she noticed my stress. "What's going on, Maya?" she asked, pushing her glasses up the bridge of her nose. "You don't seem yourself." I hesitated, and then it all came pouring out. My family, Chloe, the Tesla, and the crushing feeling of invisibility. I told her how they'd brushed off my thesis award. I expected her to offer a polite platitude. a token word of comfort. Instead, she looked at me directly, her eyes sharp and perceptive. "Are they coming to your graduation, Maya?" she asked, simply. "They say they are," I replied. "I booked them a hotel." She nodded slowly. Family is a complex thing. Sometimes the people who are supposed to be our biggest cheerleaders become our biggest obstacles. But you must remember this. Your worth is not determined by their ability to see it. It exists independently. Her words were a lifeline. For the first time, someone had validated my feelings. I wasn't being oversensitive. I wasn't jealous. I was in an unhealthy situation, and my reaction was perfectly sane. That conversation planted a seed of resolve in me. I would not let them ruin the biggest day of my life. But I still clung to a foolish sliver of hope that they'd show up. I called them on the Monday of graduation week to confirm their travel plans. About that," my mother began, and a cold dread filled my stomach. "There's been a little change of plans," the dealership called. "They have a special delivery slot available on Saturday, the day of your graduation." "And?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "And Chloe really wants us to be there. You know, it's a big moment for her. We'll drive up to your graduation right after. We might miss the beginning, but we'll definitely be there to celebrate afterward." They were going to miss it. They were going to miss my name being called. They were going to miss me receiving the Thompson Trailblazer Award. They were going to miss everything. For a car. "Mom, the ceremony is the whole thing," I said, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "The award presentation. Everything." "Don't be dramatic, Maya," my mother said, her tone turning cold. "It's just a ceremony. The diploma is what matters. We will be there for the celebration. Families need to be flexible." Flexible. That was the word she used. But their flexibility was always a one-way street. I had to be flexible for Chloe's needs. I had to be flexible for their lack of interest. I had to bend until I broke, while Chloe stood tall, untouched, basking in the sun of their favor. My last sliver of hope was extinguished. They had made their choice, and as I hung up the phone, I knew I had to make mine. That phone call should have been the last straw. But a part of me, the small, naive part that had been bruised for 22 years, still refused to accept reality. "Maybe they'll change their minds," I told myself. "Maybe when they realize how much it means to me, they'll reschedule." So I did something I would come to deeply regret. I begged. I called back that evening. My father answered, and I tried one last time to explain. "Dad, this isn't just a ceremony. It's the culmination of 4 years of work, Doctor. Sharma is presenting me with a major award. It's really important for my career for you and Mom to be there." His voice was weary, as if I were a child demanding a toy. "Maya, we've been over this. The delivery appointment is set. We can't change it. Chloe has been waiting for this for months. She would be devastated if we weren't there." "What about me?" My voice cracked. "Won't I be devastated?" There was a pause, and then he said the words that broke my heart into a million pieces. "Come on, Maya. You're stronger than that. You always have been. You don't need us there cheering you on like a kid. You're an adult, Chloe. She needs this support. That's the difference." There it was. The unacceptable act. It wasn't a yell. It wasn't an insult. It was a cold, cruel, calmly delivered truth. My strength, which I had forged in the crucible of their neglect, was now being used against me as the very justification for their continued neglect. They had turned my greatest virtue into my fatal flaw. They were punishing me for becoming the person they had forced me to be. I didn't argue anymore. I just whispered, "Okay, Dad, I understand," and I hung up the phone. I sat there in my small dorm room, surrounded by stacks of books and research notes. The walls were covered in chemical diagrams and inspirational quotes. Everything in that room was a testament to hard work and determination. And in that moment, it all felt meaningless. Who had I been doing it for? I'd always told myself it was for me, for my future. But if I was being honest, a large part of it was to win their approval, to finally be enough. And now I had my answer. I would never be enough. No achievement, no matter how great, could ever compete with Chloe's mere existence. I could discover the cure for a disease, and they would still be more concerned about Chloe breaking a nail. That was my moment of awakening. It wasn't a fiery flash of anger, but a strange, cold peace. The fight was over. Not because I had lost, but because I realized I'd been fighting the wrong battle all along. The goal wasn't to win their game. The goal was to stop playing. I looked at my graduation gown hanging on the closet door. I looked at the heels I had bought, especially for the occasion. I had pictured the scene 1,000 times. Me, walking across the stage, looking out into the crowd, and seeing my parents smiling, their eyes shining with pride. That image shattered, turning to dust. But a new image began to form. It was fuzzy at first, then slowly came into focus. It was me, still walking across that stage. But this time, I wasn't looking for anyone in the crowd. I was looking straight ahead, at my own future. And I wasn't walking for them. I was walking for me. The hurt didn't disappear, but it transformed. It was no longer the pain of rejection. It was the strength of release. They had freed me from the burden of pleasing them. They had given me a gift, though they never intended to. The freedom to finally put myself first. I cried that night. I cried for the 17-year-old girl who had to fix her own car. I cried for the college freshman who felt so alone on a massive campus. I cried for the young woman who had believed that a family's love was something that had to be earned. And when the sun came up, I was done crying. The sadness was replaced by a steely resolve. They had chosen the Tesla. Fine. I was going to give them a show they would never forget. They thought I'd be standing at graduation alone. They were wrong. I wouldn't be alone. And I sure as hell wouldn't be taking the bus. I had a plan, and it was going to start with a phone call to the one person who had actually seen my worth. The next morning, with puffy eyes but a surprisingly clear mind, I walked into Dr. Sharma's office. I didn't have an appointment. She had an open-door policy for her students, especially during finals week. She looked up over her glasses and knew instantly something was wrong. "They're not coming," I said, my voice flat and emotionless. They chose the Tesla dealership. She didn't offer pity, for which I was grateful. Instead, she radiated a calm, focused anger. "That is their loss, Maya. A profound loss. They probably won't recognize for years." She got up and closed her office door. "So, what are we going to do about it?" Her use of the word "we" caught me off guard. "We?" "Of course," she said, sitting back down. "I've invested in you. This university has invested in you. And most importantly, you have invested in yourself. We are not going to let their thoughtlessness diminish this achievement. Your graduation day will be a celebration. The only question is what we want it to look like." And that's when my secret weapon went from being an award on paper to a plan of action. "Dr. Sharma," I began, a daring idea forming in my mind. "Do you know any good car services in the area?" She raised an eyebrow, a sly smile playing on her lips. "I think I might know one or two." We spent the next hour mapping out the plan. It was equal parts petty and glorious, and it was all mine. Dr. Sharma made a few phone calls. As an influential board member and a major benefactor to the university, her calls carried weight. First, she arranged for a jet-black Lincoln Navigator from the most exclusive car service in town to pick me up on Saturday morning. "No, not a sedan," she said into the phone. "I want an SUV. Something that makes a statement." Next, she called the university president's office. She explained, vaguely, that this year's Thompson Trailblazer recipient was facing a unique family situation, and she wanted to ensure she received the recognition she deserved. She arranged for me and her to join the president and other board members for a private luncheon before the ceremony. This meant I wouldn't be standing around awkwardly among happy families taking pictures. I'd be with the most powerful people at the university. Finally, she looked at me. "And now, you. What are you going to do with that grant money, Maya? $50,000 is not a small sum." For weeks, I'd assumed I'd use it to pay off student loans and find an apartment. But now, a new plan emerged. "I'm going to use a little of it," I said, feeling a surge of confidence I'd never felt before. "I'm going to rent a fantastic apartment downtown, near the Viridian Dynamics office. I'm going to get myself a professional wardrobe, and I am never, ever going to ask my parents for anything again. That's a good start, Dr. Sharma said. And the rest? Invest it. Let it grow. Financial independence is the ultimate form of power, especially for a smart young woman. Leaving her office that day, I felt like a different person. The weight of seeking approval had been lifted, replaced by an empowering lightness. I was no longer a victim of my circumstances. I was the master of my own ceremony. Over the next few days, I moved with focused precision. I called a realtor and set up apartment viewings for the following week. I researched investment options. I bought a stunning power suit to wear under my graduation gown, a cobalt blue dress, and a pair of heels I could stride confidently in. I also made one final call to my family. Not to beg, not to argue, to inform. Just wanted to let you all know, I said cheerfully to my mother. The ceremony starts at 10 a.m. If you're coming after the car pickup, you'll probably get here just as they're cleaning up. Don't worry about finding me. I'll be busy. Busy? My mother asked, confused by my new tone. Yes, I said. Turns out, the Thompson Trailblazer recipient has a pretty packed schedule. I have a private luncheon with the university president. A lot of important people will be there. I paused, then added, Dr. Sharma is going with me. She's really become such a wonderful mentor. There was a silence on the other end of the line. For the first time, I think, my mother realized I had a world, a support system, completely separate from them. I wasn't a lonely island waiting for their visit. I was part of a whole new ecosystem, one to which they had no access. Oh, she said, her voice small. Well, where should we meet you afterward? Don't worry about it, I said, my tone still light. I'll find you. Just look for the white Tesla, right? It should be easy to spot in the university parking lot. When I hung up, I knew I had planted the seeds of doubt. They had expected me to be sad, to be lonely. They had not expected me to have a plan. They had not expected me to have allies. They had not expected me to have power. They thought they were driving to a car dealership, but really, they were driving straight into a lesson in consequences. And the black limo was just the beginning. The Saturday morning of graduation arrived with a sky so clear and blue it was a perfect irony for the storm I was about to create. I woke up, not with nerves, but with a strange, settled calm. I put on my cobalt blue dress, did my hair and makeup with meticulous care. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see the tired, stressed-out student of the past weeks. I saw a professional woman, ready to step into the next chapter of her life. At 8:30 a.m., sharp, a gleaming, impossibly long, black Lincoln Navigator pulled up silently in front of my dorm. The driver, a man in an impeccable suit, emerged and opened the door for me. As I slid inside, the smell of new leather and polished wood enveloped me. Dr. Sharma was already seated, looking elegant in a cream-colored suit and a string of pearls. "Good morning, Maya," she said with a smile. "Ready to make an entrance?" "More than ready," I replied, feeling a thrill of excitement. As we drove through campus, other students and their families turned to stare. They saw the luxury vehicle, the tinted windows, and were clearly wondering who of importance was inside. For the first time in my life, I felt important. Not because I thought I was better than anyone else, but because I was finally allowing myself to take up the space I had earned. The private luncheon was a whirlwind. The university president shook my hand. Wealthy donors asked about my research. I talked about polymers and industrial applications with people who actually listened, who understood the significance. The entire time, Dr. Sharma was at my side, introducing me, bragging about me, and making sure I felt completely at ease. When it was time for the ceremony, we were escorted to VIP seats at the very front. I sat there, in my graduation robe, looking out at the sea of square caps and happy faces. I didn't scan the crowd for my family. I knew they weren't there. Predictably, my phone buzzed around 10:15 a.m. It was a text from my mother. "On our way. A little traffic. Chloe loves her new car. Send a pic." I smiled and put the phone away. The ceremony passed in a dream. When it came to the special awards, my name was called. And now, to present the prestigious Thompson Trailblazer Scholarship, please welcome Dr. Anya Sharma. Dr. Sharma walked to the podium, and the auditorium fell quiet. She spoke about the importance of innovation, about the legacy of Thompson, and then she spoke about me. She talked about my work ethic, my intellectual curiosity, and my potential to change the world. As she spoke, I felt tears welling up, but this time, they were tears of joy and gratitude. Please join me in welcoming this year's recipient, a brilliant mind and a true rising star, Miss Maya Evans. As I walked across the stage, the applause was thunderous. I shook the president's hand, accepted the giant novelty check and a plaque. I turned, faced the crowd, and for the first time, I let myself truly feel it. All of it. The pride, the accomplishment, the recognition. After the ceremony, as the crowds began to file out, I got a call. "Maya, we're here. We're in parking lot D. Where are you?" My father's voice was tinged with annoyance, as if my absence was an inconvenience to him. "I'll be there," I said calmly. "Just stay put." Dr. Sharma and I walked slowly out of the auditorium, stopping multiple times to accept congratulations from professors and classmates. Finally, we made it to the parking lot. And there, amidst a sea of sedans and minivans, was it? A pearl-white Tesla Model 3, gleaming in the sunday. My parents and Chloe were standing beside it. Chloe was busy taking selfies, posing with the car. My parents were looking around impatiently. They looked out of place in their casual clothes amongst a sea of suits and nice dresses. They didn't see us until we were about 20 feet away. My mother spotted me first. She waved frantically. "Maya, there you are. We were starting to think." Her voice trailed off. She had seen Dr. Sharma. She had seen the powerful, elegantly dressed woman standing next to me. Then she saw the black Lincoln Navigator gliding to a stop just behind us, the driver getting out to open the door. My father's expression shifted from annoyance to confusion. Chloe lowered her phone, her eyes wide. They froze. They stood there, completely still, as Dr. Sharma and I came to a stop in front of them. "Dad, Mom, Chloe," I said, my voice calm and steady. "I'd like you to meet my mentor, Dr. Anya Sharma. Dr. Sharma is also on the board of directors at Viridian Dynamics, where I'll be starting my new job next month." Dr. Sharma gave them a polite, professional, yet chilly smile. "A pleasure to meet you. Maya is an extraordinary talent. We're incredibly fortunate to have her." My father stammered. "Viridian? A job? That award? It came with a job?" "Oh, yes," I said, as if it were a minor detail. "And a $50,000 grant. Very helpful for a down payment on a new apartment." I glanced at Chloe and her car. "Nice car, Chloe. It looks expensive." Chloe said nothing. She just stared, from me to Dr. Sharma, to the limo. The gears in her head were visibly grinding, trying to process a reality that didn't fit her worldview. We missed it," my mother whispered, the reality finally hitting her. "We missed the award." "Yes," I said simply. "You did." I turned to Dr. Sharma. "Shall we go? The celebration party won't start itself." "Of course, Maya," she replied. As I turned my back and walked toward the open car door, I heard my father call out, "Wait! Celebration party? Where are you going?" I stopped and looked back at them one last time. They looked so small and lost next to their flashy car. Their symbol of success suddenly seemed hollow and cheap. "I'm going to a party thrown in my honor," I said, "by the people who actually showed up for me today." And with that, I got in the car. The driver closed the door softly, sealing me off from them. As the vehicle pulled away smoothly, I watched through the tinted window. My parents and Chloe were still standing there, frozen in place, their figures shrinking in the rearview mirror, left behind in the dust of the new life I was driving toward. Inside the Navigator, a comfortable silence settled for a moment. The quiet, cool air was a stark contrast to the emotional chaos I had just left behind in the parking lot. I took a deep, shuddering breath, a breath it felt like I'd been holding for years. Dr. Sharma placed a gentle hand on my arm. "Are you okay?" she asked. I nodded, a real, unforced smile spreading across my face. "I'm better than okay," I said. "I feel free." It was the only word for it. Free. Free from the weight of their expectations. free from the pain of their disappointment. Just a wide open road ahead. The graduation party wasn't a huge loud affair. Dr. Sharma hosted it at her beautiful modern home overlooking a lake. There were only a handful of people there, a few other professors who had supported me, a couple of graduate students from our lab. We ate good food, drank champagne, and talked about science, the future, and endless possibilities. For the first time, I was the center of attention not because I needed something, but because of what I had accomplished. People were there to celebrate me. It was a new and wonderful feeling. Throughout the evening, my phone buzzed incessantly with calls and texts from my family. I didn't answer. I put it on silent and tucked it away in my purse. Tonight was not about them. Tonight was about me. The next day, I moved the last of my things out of my dorm room. It felt cathartic to throw away things I no longer needed, both physically and metaphorically. That week, using a small portion of the grant money, I leased a beautiful one-bedroom apartment in a downtown high-rise with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a panoramic view of the city. It was smaller than my parents' house, but it was mine. Everything in it was my choice, paid for by me. As I settled into my new life, I heard whispers of the aftermath from a kind aunt who called to congratulate me after hearing about the award. Apparently, my family's car ride home had been silent and tense. The thrill of the Tesla had completely evaporated, replaced by an uncomfortable truth. They had backed the wrong horse. Chloe, my aunt said, failed to grasp the magnitude of the situation. She was resentful that the spotlight had been so abruptly stolen from her and her new car. "Why is everyone making such a big deal about some school award?" she had reportedly complained. "It's not that deep." But my parents, they were beginning to understand. My father, who prided himself on his business acumen, realized he had severely undervalued his most valuable asset. My mother, who obsessed over appearances and what the neighbors thought, was faced with the prospect of explaining why they were absent for their eldest daughter's greatest achievement. They didn't call for several days, presumably unsure of what to say. When they finally did, it was a clumsy attempt to pretend nothing had happened. "So, how's the new apartment?" my mother asked, her voice artificially cheerful. "Your father and I thought we might stop by this weekend to see it." "I'm busy this weekend," I said evenly, "getting ready for the new job." "Oh, well, what about the next?" "I'll let you know," I said. "My schedule is pretty full." This was my new dawn, a life where my time was my own, where my decisions didn't require their approval, and where the door to my life was no longer wide open. It now had a lock, and I was the only one holding the key. They were going to have to learn to knock, and they'd have to wait and see if I decided to answer. 1 year can change everything. 12 months after that fateful graduation day, my life was nearly unrecognizable. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. My job at Viridian Dynamics was better than I ever could have hoped. I was part of a team developing a new generation of biomedical materials, and my work was challenging, meaningful, and respected. Dr. Sharma continued to be my mentor, both professionally and personally. And under her guidance, I was quickly gaining a reputation as one of the company's most promising young engineers. My apartment had become my sanctuary. It was filled with books I loved, art I'd bought for myself, and peace. I'd learned to cook, not out of duty, but for the joy of it. I traveled a weekend trip to New York, a week in California for a conference. The initial grant money, invested wisely per Dr. Sharma's advice, had grown steadily. For the first time in my life, I had a financial safety net, one of my own making. My relationship with my family had fundamentally shifted. It had gone from a benevolent dictatorship to a cautious democracy. After the initial few weeks of silence, they had begun making clumsy overtures. The phone calls were no longer demands or complaints. They were tentative questions. "How's work, honey? Is there anything you need?" I established firm boundaries. I would speak to them once a week, on Sundays. I would visit for major holidays, but I would stay in a hotel, not at home. All financial support, in any direction, was over. When Chloe called once, complaining about the high cost of her Tesla's insurance, I simply said, "That sounds tough," and changed the subject. She never asked again. Justice, it turned out, wasn't a lightning bolt from the sky. It was a slow, quiet erosion. The Tesla, that ultimate symbol of their favoritism, became a financial albatross. The insurance, charging, and maintenance costs were far higher than they had anticipated. It became a constant source of stress in their household. Chloe's influencer career never took off in the way she'd expected. The social media world is ruthless. Trends change. Followers lose interest. Without a real foundation, a skill, a talent, an education, she was just another pretty face in a sea of them. She had to get a part-time job at a retail store to pay her bills, a fact my mother admitted reluctantly during one phone call. But the biggest change was in my parents. My absence had left a void they didn't know how to fill. They were used to having a responsible child, someone they could count on, even if they didn't acknowledge it. Now they were left with Chloe, who demanded constant attention but offered little practical support in return. They visited me in the city a few times. They were awed by my apartment, by my confidence, by the life I had built without them. During one visit, as we sat in a coffee shop, my father, a man who never admitted fault, looked at me and said, "We made a mistake, Maya." I waited, saying nothing. "We got too focused on the shiny things," he continued, staring into his cup. "We weren't seeing what was really important. We missed it, and I'm sorry." It was the moment I had waited for my whole life. But when it came, it didn't bring the sense of victory I once would have imagined. It just brought a quiet sadness for all the lost years. "I appreciate that, Dad," I said honestly. "But things are different now. I'm different." He nodded. "I know. Our relationship would never be what it once was. The innocent trust was gone forever. But something new was beginning to form. A relationship based on a grudging respect, an acknowledgement of who I really was, not who they wanted me to be." A few months later, for Christmas, I went home to visit. When I arrived, there was no fanfare, just a quiet dinner. Chloe was more subdued, less demanding. After dinner, my mother pulled me into the kitchen. "I have something for you," she said, handing me a small wrapped box. Inside was a silver picture frame, and in the frame was a photograph. It wasn't a family photo. It was a picture of me, alone, on stage at graduation, beaming, holding my award. "Your aunt took it from the back," my mother said, her voice thick with emotion. "I had it blown up. It's a beautiful picture. You look so happy." I looked at the photo. She was right. I did look happy, and I realized that happiness wasn't dependent on them being there. It was mine. I had earned it. "Thank you, Mom," I said. "It's perfect." It wasn't a full absolution. It wasn't an erasure of the past, but it was a start. It was an acknowledgement. And for me, that was enough. I no longer needed their approval, but it was nice to know that, finally, after everything, they were starting to see what they had lost. They had chosen a car, and they had lost something far more valuable. As I look back on that journey, from the anxious student in a dorm room to the confident woman in her own apartment, the biggest lesson I learned wasn't about betrayal. It was about self-worth. For so many years, I had allowed my value to be defined by a family who couldn't or wouldn't see it. I measured my success by their approval, and as a result, I always felt I was coming up short. The day they chose the Tesla over me was the most painful, but also the most liberating day of my life. Their choice forced me to confront a simple truth. You cannot make someone value you. True validation has to come from within. You have to be the first one to believe in your own worth, even and especially when no one else does. Stepping into that limousine wasn't just about making a scene. It was a declaration. It was me telling myself and the world that I deserved the VIP treatment. I deserved to be celebrated. I deserved a front row seat in my own life. Family is complicated. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love us the most are the ones who hurt us the deepest. But I learned that you have the right to set boundaries. You have the right to demand respect. And you have the right to walk away from situations that diminish you. Real family isn't always the one you're born into. It's the people who lift you up, who believe in you, and who show up for you. No questions asked. The way Dr. Sharma showed up for me. So now, my story is over. But I want to hear yours. Have you ever had to stand up for your own worth, even to the people you love? What did you learn from that experience? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories about finding your own strength. And share this video with someone who might need to hear that they are not invisible. Remember, never give anyone else the pen to write your story. Pick it up and write a magnificent ending yourself. Thank you for listening.